All right, it says we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Helena, and today I'm so excited to be introducing Mat Shaffer to my audience. Mat is a really good friend of mine, and he's just an amazing relationship coach and connection coach who helps women create really deep, intimate connections with people in actually all areas of their lives, but especially in their romantic relationships. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be sharing 4 things that a man needs to feel in order to truly fall in love and commit to wanting to be in a real relationship with you. So welcome, Mat, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Helena, Hart, as I live and breathe. So nice to finally be here with you.
Yes, we've been talking about this forever. I can't believe that this is our first live stream. Matt's going to actually be creating some amazing content for you guys, hopefully. If you want to, hopefully, for my channel pretty soon. So this is great. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I'm excited, and I'm excited to connect with you. You have such an incredible community. So ladies, for everybody watching live or watching on the replay, thank you for being a part of this show and just for being a part of this tribe. Because Helena, I don't know, I've never seen somebody with a YouTube channel that's more like engaged and dynamic than yours is. It's crazy.
Totally. I completely have the best YouTube audience out there. Like, I really, truly believe that. And thank you guys so much. Lauren, Jamie, Caroline, Melissa, Zumba Girl, TA. Love your videos. I'm so excited to catch you live. Oh, I'm excited too. And you guys are catching a great one. Sometimes Mat is commenting on some of my live streams, you know, because he's able to catch them. And his input is so great. Like, his masculine presence and perspective just complements everything I talk about so well. So you guys are gonna love this. So Mat, what is the first thing you have to say? Is there anything you want to say to kind of pre-frame this conversation on the 4 things that a man needs to feel from you in order to fall in love and truly commit to a relationship?
Absolutely. And so, yeah, let's start off with the context, right? Let's start off with like the foundation of this whole thing. So what are we talking about? We're talking about emotions. And so fundamentally, what are emotions, right? What are feelings? Emotions are energy in motion. So when energy is moving through our body, it creates an emotional response or an emotional feeling, right? So when we're talking about emotions with other people, every relationship, every interaction you have with a person in your life, man or a woman, that's an exchange of energy. And so what we're talking about today is how to really create, foster, and evoke from the men in your life, or a man you want to have a deeper connection with, how to evoke the feelings from him that are going to make him want to be in a deeper relationship with you. Okay, so this all comes down to energy, work. So we're going to talk about why these feelings are important, why it's important that a man feels this, and then we're going to talk about how you can evoke these in him. So that's sort of like the frame of this whole thing. And the important last point to address in this is to recognize up front, ladies, that your man, most men, are not super emotionally self-aware. Men, unlike women, women spend a lot of time talking about their feelings, right? Talking about their emotions, unpacking how he made you feel, how this person made you feel at work. Like you're constantly putting words to the feelings in your life and the impact that they're having on you, right? Whereas men, we don't do that nearly as much. We don't talk about our feelings. We're not thinking about our feelings. We're just reacting and responding to our feelings with actions often in our life. So men will often talk about a woman. They'll be talking about a woman to their buddies, and they'll be like, oh yeah, she's really cool, or she's fun, I like hanging out with her. And that's often as deep as it gets. And if you really love her, you don't say, this woman lights up my heart and I can just feel myself falling for her. No, you'll say something like, bro, I think I'm in trouble, man. I think she might have got me. You know, like you'll say something like that, because it's not a language that we're fluent in, a lot of us. So we're talking about these feelings that men don't even know that they want to have, right?
Oh
but they do, but they want them. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you see me like cracking up over here. I'm trying not to laugh too hard because I know I wanted the camera to stay on you. I didn't want to switch back. But yeah, it's so true. That's where I always say, you know, when you implement some of these things, it's like usually a man, most men, they can't put their finger on it, but they'll say things like, it's just there's something about you that just makes him feel compelled to want to keep coming towards you and be around you more and more. I mean, that's sort of my perspective, right? I always say, like, what is it that makes a man want to commit to one woman and not another? And it's like you said, it's all about the way you make him feel, and he might not be able to articulate that, but it's just kind of like a gut feeling. Men operate on their instincts, don't they?
Yeah, they operate on their instincts, and they operate sort of in a continual frame of, I feel this way, so I'm going to act this way. I feel this way, so I'm going to act this way. There's not that process of, well, I'm feeling this, so let me feel deeper into it and see what's beneath that. No, we feel something and then we respond with an action. That men are very A to B when it comes to the way that their relationship with their feelings. So, you know, in that sense, they're much simpler to deal with, right? Because it's not complicated, right? If you can evoke a feeling in a man, you can get a pretty predictable response from him in the way he's going to behave. We're not that complicated. So
Totally.
this is hopefully going to simplify this process for you. And the last concept I think that's so important to sort of address as the foundation of this is the interdependence of masculine and feminine energy, right? I say interdependence, not codependence. Interdependence means that men and women, I'm going to speak heteronormatively, meaning, of course, right, that I'm speaking about masculine and feminine gender specifically, but it doesn't mean that, you know, same-sex relationships also have masculine and feminine interdependence, right? So all relationships need to have polarity. There needs to be a dominant masculine energy partner and a dominant feminine energy partner, and those two energies rely on each other for certain things. Okay, so men are dependent upon women to evoke certain feelings and certain things from us, and the same with women. Women depend on men to create certain feelings and certain responses from us. So these are like basically 4 feelings that men, we really depend on women to create in us, in our lives. All right, so are we ready to dive into these?
I love it. Oh my gosh. Everything you're saying is so right on, like in every way. You said it all. I could not, I don't even have anything to add because you said it all. Amazing. Everyone is loving this, by the way. For the 120 people watching live already, wow. Let us know what questions you have. There's a great question already in the chat. We're going to get to as many questions as we can at the end. But yeah, let's dive into that first thing a man needs to feel in order to truly fall for you.
Okay, so the first thing a man needs to feel, and this is not even consciously a lot of times, this is subconsciously what he needs to feel, and he doesn't even know it, is he needs to feel respected for what he is contributing, what he's up to in the world. So the acronym we're going to use for these 4 feelings is RACE. Okay, RASE. Okay, RASE, and the R stands for respected. Men need to feel respected for what it is that they're up to in the world, what it is that they're creating. Because men, the masculine, there's this deep imperative, this mandate that we feel to leave a legacy, to create something bigger than ourselves, to contribute our work and our time and our energy into building something, right? So whether that be with his work, whether that be with his family, his hobbies, his art, his passion, men are always doing something with this underlying drive to create something beautiful in the world. You know, men are creators at like that deep level through action. And so we depend on women to respect and honor that. You know, one of the worst things that women can do is to feel threatened by a man's need to do that and drive to create in his life, and try to cut him off from that. So that's something you really want to be conscious of up front, is to acknowledge and respect a man's need to leave a legacy. And so that's the first and most important. I think it's one of the most critical things that you have to do, is you want your man to feel, wow, she really respects who I am and what I stand for in the world and what I'm creating out here. And so one of the great, does that make sense?
So totally, it's so in line with everything I always say. Yeah, and I'd love to hear some specific ways. I don't know if you want to save the how-to for the end.
Let's tie them together. I think it makes
Okay,
more sense to
perfect.
tie them together.
Yeah,
And so,
what could a woman say or do to show him that she does respect him? And it has to be authentic, right? If you're with a guy that you don't respect, it's probably not a good guy to be with, because this has to totally be authentic. A man's going to be able to feel if you're just saying something to get some kind of result from him, or if you truly do feel that way, right?
oh, 100%. I mean, here's the thing. If you are not in alignment with what a man is up to in the world, then he's just not the man for you. So when you get a sense of what that man, like if he works on Wall Street and you have an issue with people who are with the financial industry, or if he's got something, like if he's not in alignment with you, with his deepest purpose and his deepest commitments in life, then that's just not the man for you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with him. It just means that he is not someone that's a good fit for you. So let that man go, right? So be authentic when you're showing him respect and you're honoring his path. And the greatest way that you can do that, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but it's very, very true, is to honor his path and honor his purpose by giving him the space to pursue it. Okay? Like that's, you want to create the space and honor that man's commitments by giving him the space and not feeling threatened by him. So if he's got a hobby, if he's got a passion, a deep passion for something, you can give him space. Give him space to work on that. And also, you can ask him questions. Ask him questions about it. Want to learn, like demonstrate that you're interested in learning more about what it is that he has committed his life to, right? Those two things, which they're kind of opposite ends of the same spectrum. You want to ask him questions, learn more about it, demonstrate that you're genuinely interested in him and in that, because that's a part of who he is. That's a part of who he is, his mission, his purpose, whatever he's committed to creating in this world. That's like a part of himself, right? And so one of the ways that I feel most attractive and I feel most honored in my life is when the woman that I'm with ask me like deep, engaging questions about what it is that I'm creating in the world, like about my speaking and about my coaching. I love that because I love talking about it. Men love talking about this stuff. And so like, because sometimes talking about their feelings can be hard, but you want to get a man talking and get him opening up, ask him questions about his purpose and be genuinely interested in what he has to say. And he's going to light up. And that's a way to draw him in.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I always talk about space and softness, that combination. And so what I hear you saying is give him the space to go do. So it's not like he's competing, or you're not competing with that thing. You're never going to compete with a man's life, because you don't even try. You're not going to compete with it. Give him the space to where he feels like, oh, I can go out there and live my purpose, maybe even better with the support of this woman. And the curiosity and asking questions and being genuinely curious, and maybe like revealing the impact that it has on you. Like, wow, it feels so good to hear you talk about how passionate you are about that, or something like that, right? So give him the space to do it. And then when he comes back toward you, be curious and get him to talk about it a little bit, is what I hear you saying. Do I have that right?
You have it 100% right. There's a duality to that, right? You want to ask him questions, demonstrate interest, demonstrate that you're supportive of that. And then the other side is that you get to give him space to do it and honor his right to do it. And if he invites you along, if he wants to bring you into that, and then by all means, go with him, right? Allow yourself to be a part of that. And maybe it'll teach you something about yourself and it'll deepen your connection even more. But really, honor his space. And because if he feels like you are trying to get between him and his purpose, then this relationship starts to become heavy. It starts to become a threat to his greater identity as a man. And that is not good. That's what gets men to check out. There's a lot of little things women do when they're operating from a space of insecurity, when they're operating from a space of feeling threatened or projecting their own fears onto a man, that will cause a man to check out and pull back. Because if he feels like you're tearing him down or like you're bringing him down, he's gonna go away. Because we were talking about the interdependence piece. Men depend on our women to help set us free. to help set us free emotionally, to help set us free behaviorally. Like the way that women interact with and dance with their emotions, we men look at that and we're jealous of that at a deep level. Like we may not recognize it, but like men have a hard time feeling because we've been conditioned for so long that vulnerability and emotional intimacy equals weakness. That's societal conditioning that exists for so many of us. So we rely on the women in our life to help set us free emotionally. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later in this whole thing. But just sort of recognize that in just whatever conversation, whatever interaction you're happening with the man, ask yourself, is this helping to lighten him, or is this grounding him and bringing him down? Because one of your main jobs as the feminine dominant partner in the relationship is to help him feel lighter, help him feel more free, and help him connect more with the emotions that he's probably spent a lifetime kind of suppressing and pushing to the side.
Totally. I mean, and we'll get into this more, but that's why I always say when you're in your feminine energy and in touch with yourself and connected to your own heart, right? It's so enticing and intriguing to a man because it helps him awaken these parts of himself that he might not have been in touch with since he was like a kid, perhaps, right?
We need each other. The bottom line is we truly do need each other in a deep, constructive way. It is not codependence. It is interdependence. We need each other to elevate to levels that I truly don't feel we're capable of hitting on our own. I think that together we can create much more expansion than we could on our own. And that's what this is really. This is helping you support your man in feeling things and connecting with you in a way that he probably wouldn't be able to do on his own.
Totally agree. I totally, and we're going to jump into the second thing next. Let me just see what's going on in the chat real quick. Say hi to everybody. Oh my gosh, you guys, your comments are making my day. This is awesome. I don't know if you can see them, Matt, but you can go back and look. Oh, Matt is cute. It caught me off guard. Somebody said. It's always great to catch a man's perspective. Helena, you changed my life. I saw all your videos. I'd be honored if you can give us tips when there is silence and the man doesn't say anything. I'd love to hear your perspective on that. We'll get to some of these questions at the end. So everyone's saying, wow, this is good info. Alignment is key. Love your videos. Thank you. Let's see. What about what the girl needs? Oh, we'll definitely get into that, Joy. Thank you for that question. Let's see. A guy at the gym literally told me today that women have the power to set a man free. How awesome is that?
Wow.
I don't think I would have been receptive to that without you in my life, Helena. Oh, that's awesome. Someone says everybody thinks Matt is cute. First time on this live session. Everyone's loving this. So I just wanted to check in. 173 people watching. Wow. We weren't sure if anyone would even be free at this time. So we're so happy to have you guys here. Let us know your thoughts on this, your questions. Yeah. We love hearing from you. Matt, let's jump into the second thing that a man needs to feel.
All right, so the second thing, and this is connected and related to feeling respected, and this is, I would say, even more important because this is the action component of that, is a man needs to feel acknowledged. He needs to feel acknowledged by his woman. That is one of the foundational components, and not just any kind of acknowledgement. A man needs to feel acknowledged for what he's doing. For what he's doing in every area of his life. Because men, we are doers, right? We are continually out in the world, working in our job, doing this, fixing that, creating this, building that, and doing things and expressing ourselves through our actions. Like we express ourselves through our actions. One of the greatest ways you can make a man feel special and honored and loved is by acknowledging what he's doing. So really looking at not just asking questions about what he's up to in the world, but acknowledging him. Wow, that's so amazing that you have committed your life to building this beautiful thing, or to creating this art, or to serving these people. How amazing is that? And so, but here's the thing. It's not always going to be through words. This acknowledgement, you have to communicate to a man in a way that lands for him. Right? So in order to do that, you have to be able to speak that man's love language. You have to communicate and land with him and acknowledge him in the way that is going to resonate with him. So for some men, telling them how great they are or how much you love what they did for you is way less effective than just drawing them in and just petting the back of their neck for 15 minutes. I'm telling you. For me personally, and I think for a lot of men out there, touch is our fundamental love language, because that is how we communicate love. That's how we express love. Like sex and physical touch, it isn't just how we like to receive love, it's how we like to express love, right? It's a huge communication and intimacy for most men. So one of the greatest ways you can communicate acknowledgement to a man for what he's doing right is by petting him, loving him, showing him, demonstrating physical touch. That's going to land with him and connect with him in a much deeper way than being like, great job, bro. Like, like give the man the sort of acknowledgement that he's going to get. And the greatest area in which you can acknowledge a man is in what he does right for you. Like, how is he showing up for you? What has he done right for you? Because if he's in relationship with you and he cares about you and he loves you, what he wants more than anything is to feel that he's doing it right. So think of men, and this is something, I think I heard it on Maston Kip like a while ago. I went to a Maston Kip event. It's so funny. Like, think of a man as like, we're basically all cavemen, and we're basically just walking up to our women and just like being like, me do good? Me do good? Just like whenever you look at your man, just like think of him like Fred Flintstone or like a caveman just looking at you. He's just looking for validation with everything. Like he cleans the gutters, you know, or he does something menial. Like he just does some tiny little thing. Just acknowledging him, petting him, and telling him that's great. I appreciate you doing that. That really helped me out. That is so sexy, and that helps that lights a man up. It helps keep him engaged and draw him deeper into that relationship, into that connection, you know? I love this restaurant that you took me to. If you're in the early stages of dating somebody, oh my God, how did you know that I love this food? Like, that's right there. Like, he's going to be on cloud 9 about that. A continual acknowledgement loop is, I'm telling you.
You know what, something I always say is like acknowledgement and appreciation are like the fuel that men run on, especially masculine energy men. You can see it. They kind of gauge your reaction to things and they go, oh, she liked that, I'm going to do more of that, right? If he's a good man who cares about meeting your needs and making you feel good. So amazing. Yeah, Tiffany says that's so true, Matt. It has to be tailored completely. Oh, Mark Rosenfeld, we have a major YouTube celebrity watching this. All right, he says, loving this content from Helena and Matt. Mark, every day since we did a live stream, I've been getting messages for people wanting you to come back on my channel. So let's plan something soon.
Yeah, Mark, I don't have the accent.
I know.
I wish I did, right?
Matt and I were watching the live stream we did on how to heal your heart and move on, and we were just talking about how amazing it was. So yeah, love to hear your input on this. Absolutely, absolutely. Everyone's saying this is good info. Someone asked, what about the touching? If it's just the second or third date, how do you show acknowledgement through physical touch if it's like the early stages of dating? Do you have any thoughts on that, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's actually when it's the most important. And this is something that in the early stages of dating, if you're interested in a man, the greatest way you can let him know, and actually the least intimidating way you can let him know, is by really casual, subtle physical contact. So, touching his hand as you guys get up to leave the restaurant, allowing him to like put his hand on the small of your back as he sits you down in the chair. Like just little tiny little nuanced things. Man, we may not be consciously intuitive. Like we're not going to be like necessarily picking up on the micro signals, but we're going to start to feel excited. And I'll be honest with you, if I've had an incredible date with a woman and I feel like I hit it and everything went great, like I hit all the things that I wanted, it was a dream date. If I don't receive some kind of physical validation, even if it's just like a little peck kiss or something at the end of that first or second date, I will start to ask myself, did I do something wrong? What happened? Like where did I fall off? And that might not necessarily be true at all. But just these tiny little physical things that you can do with a man in the early stages of dating are one of the most powerful ways you can help him feel secure that you're interested. Like because you're not going to sit there and tell him, well, I really like you, so let's go on a second or third date. Like you're not going to say that, but you can demonstrate it and you can communicate it to him in a powerful way just by allowing him to touch your hand, like just by taking the initiative and maybe touching his hand for a second or two as you guys get up from the table after dinner. Like there's just little things you can do. So look for opportunities to communicate, like just brief but intimate physical contact, and you're going to help cultivate that interest and draw him in.
Amazing. Oh, such a good answer. Wow. So yeah, thank you for that great question, Christina. That was really, really, I'm sure that, because a lot of times I'm a total physical touch is like my top
Oh,
love language, right? Like way, and then like distant second is maybe words of affirmation, but it's nowhere near physical touch. So for me, it's very natural, but I know for a lot of women, they're afraid of like coming on too strong or sending the wrong message. So I love the way you explained that. That was phenomenal. Thank you for that question, Christina. Do you want to jump into the third thing?
yeah, and then the last thing I just want to say about that, because what you mentioned, I think bears addressing, is if you're afraid to engage in any physical contact with this man, like really look at where that comes from. Look at what fears you have around physical touch, and is it based in pain that you've experienced in your past? Like, where are your walls around physical touch? Were you hurt by a man? What happened? And just recognize that you're maybe projecting that fear onto this man, and kind of walling yourself off from him at that level, because physical touch does not have to be sexual. It doesn't have to be a violation. It doesn't have to be deeply intimate. It's just another language that can be used in a million, like language can be violating and awful, and language can be beautiful and empowering and connected, right? It's just about how we choose to use it. So just look at where the feelings are originating from and address them. And you can probably work through that stuff. So that's just the last thing I had to say about that. And so I'll go in to the S in this, and this is something that may be a little bit of a surprise to you, but that men really need to feel safe. They need to feel safe in their relationship, in their connection with you. And I know that, a lot of times women look at men as needing to make them feel safe, and I agree with that 100%. I think it's our imperative as the masculine to make our women feel safe in relationship and in connection. But I think it's just as important for women to create a safe space for men to be emotionally vulnerable. It's obviously not about physical. It's not like we need our women to protect us and put guys in a headlock if they get us. That's not what we're talking about here. But for men, a lot of times, just like for women, how physical conflict and physical confrontation can be scary. For men, emotional confrontation, emotional expression can be terrifying, especially if they didn't have any example for it growing up. If they came from a family where there was no emotional communication, where I'll get personal with you guys. I'll get personal with you guys on this, and this is why this is so important to me. Is that I grew up in a family very loving, very communicative, but I was never. My parents had a rule that you were not allowed to have a confrontation or an argument in front of the kids. And they did that, I think, to protect us so that we didn't see, any conflict. But what that did is it cut me off from recognizing that men and women could have confrontive dialogues about conflicting feelings and work through them. So I didn't realize so then anytime in my relationships where there would be a possible confrontation, I wouldn't feel safe talking about feelings that were confrontive to my partner. And then I would just suppress and lock things away because that didn't make me feel safe. And then I would just end up bailing on the relationship because I would start to resent my partner. So that's a danger, guys, that we risk if we do not create a safe container for men to be vulnerable emotionally. So
Oh my gosh.
does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I mean it's everything I talk about so much in like a lot of my videos and newsletters and programs. It's like emotional safety, huge. Everyone's saying they love your perspective. I love that. Men showing vulnerability is sexy in my book. I totally agree. And when we're vulnerable, it's sexy to a man, right? I mean, so then that kind of brings us into the how-to is like, how do you do that? How do you make a man feel emotionally safe? From my perspective, it's like you have to feel safe within yourself first, right? Before a man's ever going to feel safe with you. And I have my own ideas on how to do that. I would love to hear your perspective, Matt. And yeah, we'll get to all your questions too, you guys, towards the end, some of these more specific ones. What do you have to say on how exactly a woman can start to make a man feel emotionally safe? Because that is so critically important when it comes to a man falling in love with you, right?
It's 100% thing. If you want to foster a relationship with a man, like a deeper connection than just the casual dating epidemic that's happening in our society today. Like I think the emotional vulnerability and the emotional communication piece is what we're missing. Like, because we're in this constant swipe, Tinder, surfacey, clusterfuck, for lack of a better word, and I'm over it, right? And one of the greatest ways we can do that is by creating a safe space for us to feel and express our feelings to each other. And so, ladies, if you want to foster that with the men, the greatest way you can do that is in leading by example and having the courage within yourself to powerfully express what you're feeling dynamically, regardless of whether it's a positive feeling or maybe not a positive, like a positive and negative. Don't stop judging your feelings, but be able to lovingly express what's coming up for you to a man that you're getting to know. Like, because if you demonstrate by example the power of sharing what's in your heart, he's able to manage that and respond to that and hold space for that, which he should. If a man is not able to hold space for the way you're feeling, as long as you're doing it in a gentle and loving way, then that man may not be at a level where he's someone who's ready to be in a deep relationship. And then you got to ask yourself, what do you want? Is this man someone that's willing to go there with you, right? So it's a great filter too, I think. So you lead the way by showing up, being emotionally open, and letting him know, wow, I love that you picked this place to eat. I'm having so much fun with you. Or, or if you're having a bad day, I had a really tough day today. I'm feeling kind of down. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but just being able to share what you're feeling. Because here's the thing, because he's picking up on it. He's picking up on what you're feeling regardless. But if you're able to put words to it, it's gonna start giving him and then asking him questions. How are you feeling about that? Set the example on what it looks like. Because a lot of times, like I said in the beginning of the show, kind of circling back to the beginning, it's not necessarily that we don't want to talk about our feelings. A lot of the times we just have never done it. We're not used to it. It's awkward. It's a completely new skill set. So you have an opportunity to sort of train this man to talk about what's coming up for him and then help him work through stuff in his life, which, I mean, I'm telling you, you're giving a man an incredible gift if you're able to foster that with him. So asking him questions. How are you feeling right now? You seem kind of down. Did something happen? Wow, why are you so happy? That smile is amazing. Like, just going there, right? Going there and giving him an opportunity to put words to it. That's how he's going to start building that muscle, and he's going to start feeling safe talking about feelings, maybe after a lifetime of not feeling safe talking about feelings and having decades of sabotaged relationships, all leading back from, his parents and whatever template they gave him as a kid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have so much to say about all of that. I love everything you said. Love your perspective. Somebody said I was kind of planning on raising my kids the same way. I didn't know it can do so much damage, with the not arguing in front of the kids, right?
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. I love my parents, especially because my mom is probably going to watch this. Mom, I love you dearly. And I say that, and I've worked through that. I worked through that thing. But I'm saying, like, don't be afraid to demonstrate the full spectrum of emotional communication, both with your partner and with your children, right? Because talking about feelings isn't just relegated to talking about the ones that make you feel good. Sometimes the feelings that we need to talk about are the ones that don't feel good for us, or the ones that may not feel good to the person that you're talking to. But that doesn't mean that they don't need to be worked through or they don't need to be expressed. When we start suppressing our feelings and we start operating from a place of shame grows in the dark. Negative feelings grow in the dark. And so when we start shoving stuff down and trying to ignore it and trying to that's when secrets start to grow, and that's when relationships start to break down. And I sabotaged a lot of relationships in my 20s because I didn't recognize that I wasn't getting out what I needed to get out in my relationships. And so I think it's super important to create a safe space to talk about feelings with your partner.
It's huge. Oh my gosh, the value in that in a man's life is like, you will just be irreplaceable, right? Because they don't have that with their guy friends usually. They don't have that. Kim said she loved the way you suggested leading by example. I totally agree. Yeah, because as women, often we have to go first because it's like we have so much more flexibility and emotional kind of agency that men just don't have, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, right? And so if you can show a man, and again, this happens sort of on a subconscious level. If he goes, oh, she feels safe with herself. She feels safe opening up to me and being vulnerable and expressing herself. She accepts herself, even her unpleasant feelings. That's how he knows that you're going to accept him and his feelings often. That's my perspective. Matt, do you agree with that?
I'm telling you, it's super sexy when a woman is in full ownership of all of her feelings and feels confident enough in herself to express them to you, like is unapologetic about who she is, what she's feeling, how she's showing up in the world. Like I said earlier, men rely on women to give us an example of what it looks like to be free, to be emotionally free, because we are so, generally speaking, so emotionally locked down because of our conditioning, because of our parents, because of our grandparents who were conditioned to believe that men aren't supposed to feel. So we need the women in our life to give us an example of what it looks like to be emotionally connected. And one of the greatest gifts you can give men is setting that example and giving them a space to begin to play with this stuff, because they may be way bigger than you physically and go to the gym and work out their muscles, but they are teeny little shrimpy men emotionally, many of them, right? So you are much stronger and much more connected and much more powerful in your emotional agency. So be that example, be that space for them to begin to do that work. And you're giving a man a gift that he will be so grateful for you on down the road.
Amazing. I feel like we should do a whole nother video like just on this topic because it's so
absolutely
huge, right?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to, because that's been the most transformative thing for me. And a lot of it, I worked through a lot of it with Anya Grace. Like in that relationship, there was such a profound amount of emotional transformation that happened with me, because the level of emotional communication I had with her was on a level that I had never experienced in a past relationship. And the elevation I experienced as a leader and as a man from that is, I mean, indescribable. So I'm a huge advocate for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how we met. For everyone watching, yeah, we met through Anya, who you guys all know and love. Brianna says, what made you feel safe to work through your experience and be more vulnerable? I think you kind of shared that a little bit. I don't know if there's anything more you want to add there.
Yeah, I mean, just circling back, the fact it started, I felt safe to go there with her because she was so open with how she was feeling all the time, which at times could be exhausting. I'm not going to lie to you, but overall, it was profoundly expansive for me. I'm like, this chick talks about how she's feeling 100 times a day. And so then every time she talked about how she was feeling, she would turn around and ask me how I was feeling. And I was like, well, okay, well, I guess I'm talking about that. And I was already doing leadership work, and I had spent years, putting words to my feelings before that. But being able to do it in intimate relationship with another human is like a whole nother level of learning to communicate it. Because a lot of times you're talking about feelings that are connected to that other person. And that's a whole nother level of intimacy. And so when you're able to powerfully share with a human being, wow, you make me feel like this. These are the things that are coming up for me around you. That's when you really start to grow and become a lot stronger, and really start to figure out and understand yourself a lot better.
I love it. Yeah, Christina also has a great question. She says, Helena, if we express our feelings, how will that work with leaning back or and being in your feminine energy? It actually is a very feminine energy thing. I always talk about the importance of leaning back and keeping your energy open, like keeping your heart open. A lot of times what we want to do is, my microphone keeps getting tangled in my hair, and it's just like, I got to get the wireless ones like you have. I know, they're going to change my life. You have to send me a link to get this,
I will.
Right? So most of us, especially if we're feeling really triggered, we want to lean forward and try and make something happen. And then what do? We shut ourselves down emotionally. So leaning back, of course, very feminine energy, but it's not enough in and of itself. That's not enough to create the intimacy. It might create attraction. It might create a little pull or tension or desire in a man to want to come towards you. But then when a man comes towards you, you have to open up and be connected to your heart so you can express yourself. That's what creates this intimacy and emotional safety that we've been talking about. So does that answer your question, Christina? Hopefully it does. And we should probably do another video on exactly how to do that.
Yeah. Because you have to remember, you know, men leaning back, definitely important, because if a man feels that you're pushing, then the polarity of the whole situation has collapsed. And if he feels like he can't be the pursuer, he can't be the frame for the relationship, then he's going to potentially start to lose interest because he's going to feel emasculated. That being said, I mean, Brene Brown said it best, y'all. Everybody is craving connection. Everybody is craving feeling seen. Everybody feels at some level alone. You know, when they're in their ego, when everybody's in beat up, everybody feels alone. Men too. And men want to feel seen, and they want to feel honored, and they want to feel connected to too. So just be careful you don't lean so far back that he feels like you're just shutting him out, because that could be, you know, something that could potentially cause him to stop, you know, being interested. So there's a balance to it.
Absolutely. That's the softness. I talk about space and softness. The leaning back is the space. Opening up, sharing your heart is the softness. And it is just as important, right? Leah says, what if you do all of this and he still ghosts you? Great question. You know, we've all been there. I would say that, you know, doing this is not, the point of doing this is not to try to make a guy fall for you or get him to commit to you, right? It's to see what he does. Just like Matt was saying, see what he does with that information. Does he open up himself, or does he shut down? You know, does he dismiss your feelings? Does he not really care what's going on with you? That's really good information for you to have. And it's good information for you to have quickly, like right away, right? Right?
Absolutely. Well, these are all filters. I mean, not only are these important tools for deepening relationship, but they're also filters that are gonna help you get the men out of your relationship pipeline that are not in alignment with what you want. If a man ghosts you because you honor his purpose, or because you talk about your feelings with him, or because you powerfully acknowledge him, if he ghosts you, or if he pulls away, or if he checks out, then that means he's got underlying intimacy issues and a lot of stuff that, you know, is probably not in line with what you want to create. And so that's when the active practice of detachment from outcome is the most powerful tool you can have in dating. And that's actually incredibly sexy to men too. Just FYI, if you can sit here and you can show up for a man and be like, "Hi, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. I love myself, and my opinion of myself is not determined by the outcome of this date." Like, if you can show up with that kind of energy and just be like, "Yo, this is me. Love me or leave me alone. I'm not really attached." Like, if that's the sort of energy you can show up with, oh my God, that is hot to a man, because then he's able to recognize, and this is one of the most important things you can ever do, that your happiness isn't his responsibility. I cannot stress how freaking important it is for you to understand that in the instant that you make your happiness your man's responsibility, like, and he feels that, that is a huge weight. And then your relationship then becomes an obligation, similar to his work. And you never want your relationship to feel like an extension of his job. That is not, you want to cut that, which that kind of goes into the fourth thing that we're talking about.
Absolutely. You want to totally so much to say on that. I don't even know if you know this, that whole releasing your attachment to the outcome or the result is like one of the hallmarks of my work. It's really important, not only because it's obviously super sexy and attractive, like you said, it just feels better. I mean, I can't tell you how many women are there, and of course I've been there myself, and it can be easy to slip into this without realizing it, like placing their value or their worth, and of course sometimes without even realizing it, or even their mood is affected like by what a man is doing or not doing. A man gives her some attention and we feel incredible, right? And then he goes away for a couple days, he gets busy with something, and then we feel terrible, and it affects our self-esteem. So you don't want to be on this like roller coaster. You want to feel good and steady and stable within yourself. Then watch what a guy does. Great question from Dan. What if he won't talk about his feelings unless he's upset with you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Matt.
Okay, so if he can only talk about feelings when he's upset up until now, this is another phrase I want you to incorporate into your vocabulary. Up until now, all my clients, I know Melissa's been commenting, I've seen her come up. All the coaching clients that I work with, all these ladies I work with, I have them say any behavior that you are engaging in or that your spouse or your partner is engaging in that isn't in alignment with what you want moving forward, always put at the end of that phrase when you talk about it, up until now. You want to draw a cognitive line in the sand where, like, up until now, my partner only talks to me about his feelings when he's angry. So right there, that's changing the whole frame, because with your words, you're acknowledging the possibility of something else moving forward, right? We always want to be opening up the possibility moving forward with this person, and stand for them to do that. So he probably has a frame for emotional intimacy where his dad only talked about feelings when he was pissed off at his job, when he was pissed off at your mother, or whatever, at his mother, at his wife. So that's just all he's ever known. So that's going to take a little extra work for you to help bring him out of that shell, right? Because he obviously has demonstrated that he can talk about feelings, but his comfort zone is talking about feelings when he's in a heightened, angry state. And so part of what you could do is, first off, when he's angry, the biggest thing you can do to neutralize that is to choose to respond rather than react. Because when you react to his anger with defensiveness, or you react to his anger with masculine energy, or you try to like combat at him with more anger, it just creates this escalating chain reaction of energy, like we talked about at the beginning. Everything is just an energetic exchange, right? So you don't want to just come at his anger with anger or defensiveness. Hold space for him to feel safe to release that anger. And then if he's already talking about his feelings, just keep him talking. Like, where's this anger coming from? What is this bringing up for you? And just keep him talking. And eventually, he'll be able to shift out of that. And then you can keep him talking about your feelings. So what good happened today? Like just start giving him continue to give him an example of, what, I love that you can talk about your feelings, that you can share with me when you're angry. Like, if you have the courage to stand in the fire of what he's expressing and hold space for it, and then acknowledge him for that instead of taking it personally, that's a huge thing for him. And that's going to help him shift out of that, and just keep working with him on it, because he probably feels very scared to talk about, positive feelings. I'm sure he has them. So it's just up to you. It's just up to you to sort of hold space and keep going with him, and keep bringing it out to him, and keep tossing him the ball.
That was so good. Oh my gosh, like amazing. I think everyone should just rewind that part and watch it over and over. If you're in that situation, that was very, very helpful. Thank you for that. Bridge says, just learned about men wanting to understand feelings if they're in a safe place. Thank you. Great. These are, oh my gosh, Renee, phenomenal questions. Let's jump into this fourth one. We have over 200 people watching live. And we'll get to some of your questions at the end. I just want to make sure we have time to get all the content in that we wanted to.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Yeah. So the last thing, the E, guys, the E of this race thing is to be excited. The man needs to feel excited. He has to feel excited by being with you, right? Because this all goes back to what? Freedom. A man is relying on you to feel free emotionally, sexually. Like, men, at a fundamental level, we are seeking to release. We are seeking to release our burden, the burden of our lives, the burden of our responsibilities. Our woman is our sanctuary where we can really embrace freedom. And freedom emotionally shows up as excitement. We're excited to be with this person because they represent something completely different than the stress and the heaviness and the obligations of our mission, of our purpose, of our job, of all the stuff that we're do, like laying bricks and blah, 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 blah. And then the woman is, oh my God, this emotional container of unapologetic ownership of her feelings. And she gives me space to be who I am and to just relax and to put down the weight for a second and just be like vulnerable. And so, like, if you want to make your man excited, like, there's so many different ways. First off, there's that whole concept of being that safe emotional space for him to be a goofball, right? Or for him to be a nerd, like a woman that will literally sit down with me and like play video games with me, forget about it. I'm into it. Like that just makes me feel free to be myself. I'm excited to hang out with that girl where I don't have to pretend to be someone that I'm not. That's a huge way. Another way to be exciting to your man is to challenge him in a playful way, right? Challenge his frame, tease him like lovingly, like play with the polarity of the situation. Like the polarity of the situation is you allow the man to what? To set the plans, to be in control, whatever. And maybe you play with that. Maybe every now and again, you switch it around on him. You take control in the bedroom when he wasn't expecting it. That can be fun for a man. You make the plans. You tell him, hey, honey, guess what? I'm taking you out to dinner. I've got the whole date set up. Just put on your best heels and meet me at this place at this time. Like play with the polarity, take the initiative. And men find that super fun. It's super sexy. If a man is comfortable and confident in his masculinity, you know. But if you can do that and just sort of keep him off balance a little bit, and just be in full ownership of that, he's going to be excited to be around you because you represent something different for him than who he has to be in all other areas of his life. He gets to be himself fully and be free when he's with you.
So good. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Something I talk about a lot, maybe not in my videos, but in some of my programs and with my clients, is this kind of magical combination of safety and thrills, right? Like he needs to feel safe. Obviously, we just talked so much about that, but also he needs to feel that it's like thrilling to be with you. And I think it goes right in line with what you're saying with the safety and the excitement. So I love that. I didn't know that that's what you were about to say, but I think that is phenomenal. So good. Do you have anything else to say on that, or do you want to get to some of these questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I'd say on that is that the balance of safety and excitement is absolutely critical. So like, say like bungee jumping or skydiving, it's exciting, it's thrilling, but chances are it's completely safe. Like, you know, you're not going to die doing it, but you're going to have an exhilarating experience. Like just sort of, it's always balancing, right? The safety with the excitement. Because if it's too safe, if there's no uncertainty, if there's no challenge in the situation, men do feel the need. If you look at a man in all areas of his life, he wants to be challenged at his work. He needs obstacles to overcome. That is how men are wired, right? There needs to be an element of challenge there that's not demoralizing, but that's there. Like your muscles don't build without resistance, right? So men are looking to grow and expand and become stronger, and you get to be a loving, sort of playful puzzle and obstacle for him, as long as it's done within an overall container of safety, you know? So there's always a balance to be struck there, and we could do a whole live on that, the balance between safety and excitement. I feel like that's a whole separate thing we could play with.
I love it. Yeah, I kind of find that women, they're either really good with one or the other. Same with space and softness. They're good at creating distance, or they're open and they're all over him, and it's like they need help in one area or the other. A lot of
you got to learn to balance it.
Right? Yeah. Oh, so much to say on that. I know we're kind of running out of time. So let's see. Renee has a phenomenal question. How does a woman let him know that she honors his purpose, but she needs more attention and time without feeling that she's not supporting him? One of the #1 questions I get. So I would love to hear your perspective on that.
So she's basically, so Renee is feeling in this moment like he's over prioritizing his work or his purpose, and she's feeling neglected. Is that basically the gist of
That's
what
it
is?
Sounds like. Just she needs more attention and time, but you know, it sounds like she's supportive of him. She doesn't want him to feel that he has to choose between her and his life's purpose, from what it sounds like.
So I think one of the greatest ways, part of what I would want to know is, what has she done so far to try to build awareness for him that maybe she's not getting what she needs? Because creating a feedback process with your partner is one of the most important steps in establishing a healthy relationship, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. Being able to communicate what you need and what you may not be getting in a constructive, healthy way is super important. So I would love Renee to sort of respond with that, what she's tried so far. I mean, one of the greatest ways I think that we can communicate what we need to our partner, especially if we're not getting what we want, is through the process of constructive boundaries, positive boundaries. So rather than saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, stop doing that, I hate that you're not around all the time, why are you never here, why am I not getting what I need? just being like, you know what, I would love if we could go on a little adventure this weekend. Setting a constructive boundary of something that you would like. Because if you remember what we said earlier, men want, at the fundamental level, men want to do things that are going to make you happy. Men want to do things that are going to make their partner happy. So if you can give men, sort of guide them, right, with constructive, positive boundaries of things you would like to do, things you would like to experience, and make those suggestions, that's giving him guideposts at that point to help change the way he's acting. And then if he doesn't, if he ignores those or he dismisses those, then you can start giving him more direct feedback on what it is that you're committed, like what you want to experience in the relationship and what you feel like you may not be getting, you know. And it's up for the two of you to come up with a process. And we could do a whole live on feedback as well. Like the value of being able to give feedback and receive feedback in relationship is, I think, one of the most important processes that partners can be in.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. So by the way, everyone, I don't think I mentioned this. Matt has opened up a few spots for a free discovery call with him, because situations like this, it's like they're so specific, and to get a personalized response from a relationship coach who is as brilliant as Matt would be amazing. So go look in the description right now. It's also in the comment section. It's a link to his scheduler to go set up a free call, which is so generous. And I love it when my experts offer that. It doesn't happen very often because I know it's really time consuming, but that's just amazing. So I know everyone's going to want to go take advantage of that. That's available right now in the description.
It is.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Let's see. What if the man opens up with feelings and concerns, which in turn make the woman feel scared because his reasons make sense? For example, in regards to finances. So he's concerned about finances, and that makes you feel nervous. I think we might need a little more info on that. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, and again, if he has the courage, because that's the thing, the masculine imperative is to what? To provide, right? To support the woman. And finances are a primary way in which that happens. So first off, what I would do is I would acknowledge him for having the courage to say, hey, I love you, but I'm broke, or whatever his situation is. That's big, that he's even willing to go there with you. And so obviously I don't know the full parameters of the situation. Maybe you want him to have $50 million and he only has 3. I don't know. Like there's a million different ways that could look. So until we have more information, I couldn't speak into it fully. But I think just the fact a lot of men will not talk about that until all of a sudden their debit card bounces at dinner. And then you got an awkward situation on your hand. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you got a guy who's open about that, I mean, wow. Like that's
give him some props. Give the man some love.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I have personal experience with that one myself. That's a topic for another video, maybe. Let's see. So many great questions, you guys. Oh my gosh. Let's see. How to recover after you asked him too soon? What are you looking for? So Soul GPS, what happened? You asked him like within the first couple dates, what are you looking for? And now it feels like maybe he's backing off, or that was like a little too soon. And what are your thoughts on that, Matt? I would love to hear.
Oh God, that's a whole thing, and that's something that when we had another outline plan for what we were going to talk about, and I got told on a second date with a beautiful woman. This is years ago, but I mean I was 30. But I was in a very dynamic stage of my life. I had just taken over a restaurant. I was in an early stage of building a business, and I was on a second date with a beautiful woman, and she looked me in the face and told me on our second date, I want to be married within 18 months. And I was like, lady, I don't even remember your last name because we've only been on one date, and you're telling me that you want to be married in 18 months. And it was like a big red flag for me. And I mean, I'm telling you, men, because I mean, this all goes back to freedom, right? We rely on women in relationship as a vehicle for us to achieve freedom, right? And to achieve freedom with them. And so the instant that a woman sets a deadline or a timeline, especially early on before he's emotionally invested, you're short-circuiting the whole organic process of a man being able to like feel into what's possible with you. Don't go into because here's the thing. When a man feels like he's being looked at as a sperm donor or like a potential, like baby daddy audition, it's not a good look. Men don't like to feel like that because they don't feel, and I'm speaking from personal experience and with my clients, they don't feel like they're being seen as a person anymore. They're being seen as a means to an end, So of course you get to have a relationship, and of course you get to be clear about that. And I'm not saying to not be clear about it, but don't do it super early. Like give the
Yeah.
situation some time to evolve, you know?
So,
And
yeah, so
then,
I totally agree because yeah, a man wants to now. Of course, it's okay to say, yeah, it would feel amazing to meet someone who I really connect with and settle down and have a family one day. If a man's asking what you're looking for, right? But there's a
oh,
difference
for sure.
between that and I need to be married within the next year, because times it's like then a man feels like he'll just kind of take any guy that comes along. But her question was, so she's already done that. Is there a way to recover from that for anyone who's kind of already made that? I don't want to call it a mistake, but who's maybe gone there a little too soon and now they want to recover from it?
I mean, the way I would say to do it is to hit the reset button and be like, and maybe just acknowledge it. Be like, hey, maybe I may have jumped the gun a little bit with you on that. I want you to know, like, I'm not trying to put you in a box. What I would like to do is I would love to, go karting on Saturday and just see what happens. Or let's just go grab a drink on Friday night and really just like hit the reset button and be like, let's just go have an experience and have fun and see what happens from there. And I think if you can kind of get a man, because that guy, I guarantee you, is 100 focused on, she wants to be in a relationship, it's too soon, I haven't figured it out yet, like he might be fixated on that now, and you want to refocus him on the experience that you enjoy. If this is something that you want, if you want to see more of this guy, really get him to see that your first motivation is to just have fun with him, just share an experience with him. And if you can get him to sort of refocus on that, then maybe he'll be open to it. If he can let go of that other thing. And again, that's something you can't control. All you can do is open the door, right? And it's up to him to walk through it.
I think that's great. I think that's really hit the reset button, maybe just focus on, and then that's it. You don't have to keep bringing it up and don't over apologize or anything. Just,
no, oh God,
right?
Please don't over apologize. Don't over address it. Your whole thing is you want to get a man, because the men love to share experiences with women. That's because, again, experiences are where we feel free. So like just reconnect that man with the experience you want to have with him, and then just see where it leads. And if he's open to it, he'll go forward. Don't continue to speak into the relationship in the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? Just get back to having experiences, and then maybe readdress it when it's more appropriate.
I love it. Perfect. Yeah, great answer to that. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the hour. We have some really great questions. So do you mind if we just kind of jump through them quickly to make sure we get to everybody?
Yep. Let's roll.
I didn't know if you have like a coaching call or if you have to go, but
you guys are y'all are my priority. Let's do this.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so let's see. Vicky has a great question. Can you describe what holding space is? Oh, I know you're going to have a great answer for that.
Holding space can look a lot of different ways. Holding space, I think one of the greatest ways we can hold space, and this isn't super complicated or anything, is by actively listening to our partner and not taking what they're saying personal. Okay, and this is the key part, because it's about listening and asking questions and recognizing that whatever they're saying, if you can just ask them follow-up questions, like if he's upset, right? Holding space is asking him, I see that you're upset. What is it that's coming up for you right now? Is there something, how can I support you, right, in this situation? And then just hold space, let him talk about it. And if it's something having to do with you, the biggest and most powerful way you can hold space is not to say, well, the only reason that I did that is because you did this and you told me you were going to do that and the instant you become defensive and you take what he's saying personally and you become reactive to it, you are no longer holding space. You're making it about you. Holding space fundamentally is allowing a person to talk to you and holding space for them to make it about them. It's having an engagement and an interaction that is focused on this person, getting out whatever it is that they need to get out situationally. And so it can be holding space for someone to get out something negative. It can be holding space for somebody to celebrate a win, right? But either way, like one of the most important things we do in an emotionally intelligent relationship is hold space for each other, because so often people in communication just wait for their goddamn turn to talk, and I can't stand it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I think you should do a whole video just on that for my channel. If you want, I would love that. It's like being over there with him is a feminine energy thing, really listening to him. And you don't have to say anything. A man can feel it if you're listening, right? Rather than just being up in your head, like, what am I going to say next? What, like, what are you thinking? Where's this relationship going? Just really being over there. I have a male coaching client who is awesome. I help him out with his relationship with his woman. And he talks a lot. He's just talk the whole time. He's a really nice guy. But when I'm talking, like when he stops and wants to hear my coaching, I don't know, he doesn't say anything, but I can just feel the words like getting sucked out of my mouth, and like you can just feel him listening. It's just so, you can just, I don't know, I can't describe it, but you can feel it. And I think men can feel that too, right? When you're really just listening to them and you're over there with them, you're not taking things personally or like placing meaning on everything that he's saying, right? Do I have that right?
Oh yeah, and this is a great recommendation, ladies. Get out of your head and stop trying to read into everything your man is saying. A lot of times with men, there is no subtext. There is no deep, nuanced meaning to whatever it is that they're saying. And it's usually, unless they say, hey, you pissed me off by doing this, it's probably not about you. Men are not generally passive aggressive. We are not, doing that sort of stuff. We are not women. So we say what we mean, and if we're talking about our feelings, generally we're not that good at that, and what we're saying is exactly what we're feeling, and who we're saying it about is exactly who that feeling is toward. So just by you holding space and actively connectedly listening, and then asking, don't just try to fix it, just asking, hey, how can I support you in this? What do you need from me right now? Rather than just like adventuring out your opinion. Maybe he didn't want your opinion. Maybe he just wanted to talk, and he just wants you to just listen. I've worked some of my greatest things that I've ever worked through with women that I've been in relationship with is just by them holding space for me to talk for 20 straight minutes and talk through an entire, and they'll try to chime in with some advice, and I'm like, no, I don't even need that. Just keep listening to me.
Yeah,
just let me talk.
Just like we want our men to do that for us, right? A lot of these go both ways. A lot of people, someone was asking at the beginning, I think it was Joy, what about a woman's? You want to look for these things in a relationship partner too. I mean, it totally goes. You want a guy you feel safe with emotionally and excited by and appreciated and everything. So yeah,
it's all, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We all want and crave the same stuff. We just are looking at it through different lenses, especially when, one's a man and one's a woman. So it's really just recognizing that we're all just people. We all want to feel the same stuff, and just how can we create and foster that for each other?
I love it. I love that part. It's all about partnership, right? And rather than this adversarial, really, men are very simple, like Matt. That's why I want you to do a series of videos for my channel, kind of like inside the mind of a man, because I don't want anyone to be confused by men anymore. They're really not that confusing. Okay, great question. What if he skips days of contact? He only texts but never calls. I wanted to get to that question because it's such a common question I get all the time. Assuming you're like in a committed relationship with him, if you like barely know this guy, it's kind of a different story, but do you want to say on that quickly?
Well, I think part of what you get to do in the early stages of a relationship is, first off, you get to sort of get an understanding of what that man's comfort zone is for communication. I think these days texting has become like this foundational, primal, like way that we all communicate. And it's not that that's a bad thing, but you got to be careful with it, because texting allows people to project, especially women, allows them to project a lot of interpretation and a lot of feelings and a lot of analyticalness onto the words. So if you are someone that has a tendency to get triggered by texting, especially texting that your spouse does, it's up to you to sort of train your partner how to treat you, right? Like we are in an active process in a relationship of figuring out the ways that we both communicate and interact with each other, and what we like and what we don't like, and really reaching a compromise on it. And I mean, if you're in a long-term relationship and the guy's like going off the map for like a week at a time, yeah, that's obviously something that's not, I mean, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. But if you've got a date planned on Friday and it's Wednesday and maybe you don't hear from him for a day and a half, that might not be unreasonable. It all depends on, his relationship history, your relationship history. And if you need more active contact than that, if you really want to have a daily touch point, which is reasonable, then, you know, lovingly communicate, hey, you know, I think about you. I love being in connection with you. Hearing from you brightens up my day. And I love having bright days. So why don't we just, you know, make it, and you can always take the initiative too. Like if he's not reaching out to you, what's keeping you from taking the initiative and reaching out to him, right? I'm not saying you should do that all the time, because then that creates a polarity issue of you pushing a lot. But feel free to interrupt the pattern. Men do not want a woman who's aloof and a woman who plays games. We don't. Trust me. I know some women feel like that's something they need to do. It absolutely is not.
So true, so true. And that actually goes right into this next amazing question. Can you give an example of what you mean by being a challenge? And I love what you said, Matt. It's a lot of women take that being a challenge to mean like shutting down and pulling away, or being hot and cold themselves, or playing games. And that is the opposite of what you want to do. This is my perspective. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
But you challenge a man by challenging yourself, by being the best version of yourself, by you being on your path and committing to your life's purpose. Or a man looks at you as like, wow, that is a high quality woman. I might need to step into bigger shoes in order to be with her, right? Everybody dreams of what kind of, you know, winning over their dream girl who's on her own path and committed to herself and her own dreams. They don't dream of ending up with some woman who's strategizing and pining after him and playing games to try to, you know, make him do what she wants, right? Any thoughts on that being a challenge?
You have to, here's the thing. You have to think about, nobody goes out to dinner to eat a pretzel. You know what I'm saying? No one goes out to dinner to eat a pretzel. So don't pretzel yourself around a man if you want him to invest time and money and energy in you. If you want to call your man to a higher game, you get to like powerfully and unapologetically, but lovingly express your expectations. Call him to play a bigger game. We want it. We want to be challenged. We want to know that if we want to be with you, that we get to show up and we get to be like the best version of ourselves, right? So you being like, wow, I'd really love to, you know, go on an adventure, do a big thing, like lovingly setting a positive boundary that calls a man into, you know, committed action to take you away on a trip for the weekend, or being unapologetic about your feelings, not being afraid to tell him in a loving way when something he does triggers you. Give him an opportunity to work through that. Give him an opportunity to stand in the fire of what's coming up for you, and be that grounded male presence, because that's the other side of the interdependence. Just as we rely on our women to set us free, women are relying on us to ground them and to help stabilize them, because they're in that constant, you know, emotional sort of back and forth of what they're experiencing. So, and when a man when that clicks for a man, and he recognizes how powerful it feels to be that grounding force for a woman with what she's feeling, that's a huge expansion for him as a man, right? So that challenge that you're creating to him by unapologetically being who you are and asking for what you want in a loving, not, you know, onerous way, that gives him opportunities to step his game up and be his best self and be excited about it.
Totally agree. Oh my gosh. Yes. And I have to go in 3 minutes. We're way over on time. So I just want, let me just go. How about one last question? Because this is a phenomenal one. I love everything you said about that, by the way. That was so good. I'm like, every time you answer something, I'm like, I want to do a whole other video on that topic.
We got to go through and make a list.
Yes. How long should you wait for a guy to commit? I thought this might be a good one to end on.
That's a great question. And I mean, that is super duper duper subjective. It comes down to what's important to you right now. Like, what is your intention? Like, what kind of relationship do you want to be in? Like, is it important for you to be in a committed monogamous long-term relationship? Like, what in the past has worked for you? And be in connection and understanding with that yourself. I think it's also important to understand your partner, understand what their relationship history is, right? Kind of get a sense of where they're at in their evolution of their relationships. And then I don't think there's any one like magical number for that. I think it's very much it's what you've experienced in the past and what you want, B, it's what they've experienced in the past and what they want. And then it's C, what have you created together in the time that you've been together? Because like there's the two of you, and then there's the relationship. The relationship is an entirely different entity than either of you. So that relationship is developing organically in real time. And it might start off as a couple dates, and it might grow into a freaking redwood tree in a month. That might be how fast it grows. And then at that point, awesome. You know, like a month in, you could be like, yo, I want to marry. Like some people have told me, like they said, I want to marry you to their partner at the 3 week or a month mark. And it was totally normal. Other people might date their partner for 4, 5, 6 months, a year, 2 years before getting serious with them, before having that conversation. So it's an intensely subjective thing, and it really comes down to you both understanding that independent third thing that you've created, that relationship, and how it's growing organically. Like, don't try to force it.
So good. Yeah. Yes. Everyone said that's a great answer. Love it. The third entity, probably another video topic that would be really good.
Yep.
Yeah. And it is, since it is so personal, book a free call with Matt, everybody. I mean, I don't know how many spaces you have available. There's like 200 people watching live, but
people are signing up. I can see the little
awesome.
thing.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Or even if, you know, if all your spots fill up, maybe after this video post your questions if you have any more in the comment section, and then Matt and I can go through and answer as many as we can get to. Is that okay, Matt?
100%. Love to do that.
Awesome. Yes. So let's recap really quickly, maybe those 4 things that we shared at the beginning of this video, and any last words that you want to share for women who are in this situation.
Absolutely. All right. So the 4 things, we're talking about the feelings that you want to evoke from your man, that you want your man to feel in order to really see you as someone he wants to be in relationship with. And so I like to say you want to race to his heart. So it's RASE. And the R stands for respected. A man wants to feel respected by you, right? So he wants to feel that you honor and understand his purpose, and that you're giving him the space to achieve it, while also asking him questions and being engaged with it, right? So it's that duality of giving him the space to honor his purpose, to go after it, and then also to demonstrate that you care about it by asking him questions. And then the A stands for he wants to feel acknowledged for what he's doing. He wants to feel, so you get to learn his love language, and you get to acknowledge him for what he's doing, how he's showing up in the world, and for what he's doing and how he's showing up for you. Your man's fuel is how he's treating you. So all he wants to know is that he's doing good. Every time he does something, hell, he cleans the dishwasher, he empties the dishwasher, tell him you did a great job. Tell him how much you appreciate that. Acknowledgement is the nourishment that fuels that third entity, that relationship that you guys have together. And it's so important to learn his love language, whether it be touch or words or whatever, and then doing it on a regular basis. This is an ongoing process all the time. Now, the S stands for safety. A man needs to feel safe by you. He needs to feel safe to be emotionally connected. He needs to feel safe to put down his walls, let down the burden of the other areas of his life, and just be a human, be a dork, be funny, be a goofball, be whatever he is, you know, and he needs to feel like you're okay and you're willing to hold space for him to do that. That's a huge thing. And that comes down to being able to talk about your emotions is a huge part of that. Feeling like he can talk about feelings with you, because feelings are scary to a lot of men. And then the E stands for excited. Your man has to feel excited to be with you. So challenge him. Be someone that he has to go on a quest to win over and continue to win over. Challenge his frame. Play with the polarity in the relationship. You know, take the initiative sometimes. Pin him down in bed every now and again when he's usually the one running the show. You know, like make the plans for the night and don't tell him what they are. And tell him to put on his big boy panties and get to this location at this time. Like, that's fun. Be playful. Tease him. Call him out. Men like sassy. And they want to feel like their relationship is a dynamic, exciting part of their life, not a burden or a heavy thing that they've experienced in their job and in all other areas of their life. You get to be his release from all the other stuff that's heavy and weighs on him. You're his freedom. It all comes down to freedom. In all these things, you get to help set him free to be himself and to be deeply in relationship with you. If you can set a man free, he's going to want to love you. He's going to want to be in relationship with you. And I think if that's like the final, like, circling of this whole thing, is that this all comes down to the fact that we need each other. We need women to help set us free. and women need men, right, to ground them and to help create safety for them and to be connected with them. So we do need each other. And even though men may not understand that they need to feel these things, they are wired for it. So if you can activate this with the way that you show up, how you be in relationship and what you do, your man is his connection and appreciation for you is gonna deepen, and he's gonna wanna be in relationship with you for a very long time. So that's
wow. Oh my gosh. I just feel like your clients are like the luckiest people. I'm like about to hire you to be my relationship coach right now.
let's
Oh my
go,
gosh.
girl.
I cannot wait to get you on my channel more. I'm so excited for everything we're going to create. Matt has some amazing content prepared for you guys. We want to do this whole kind of like inside the mind of a man series or something. We're playing with the title, but yeah, this was phenomenal. I can't wait for you to read the comments. Everyone saying like, this is great. Thank you. You guys should do a series together. Like this is just on and on and on. So thank you so much. Sorry I have to run. I wasn't expecting
It's
it
all
to go.
good.
We've been going for like an hour and 20 minutes or something, but
I can't believe it.
So much fun. Everybody, if you have more questions for Matt or myself, put them in the comments after this post and go sign up for a free call with Matt. Oh my gosh, amazing. I just think he's so, I think your superpower is to like get people passionate and excited. And so if you're frustrated with dating, if you've been single for a long time or have had a lot of conflict in your relationship, Matt is totally your guy to help you turn everything around. So thank you so much. We will definitely be doing this again soon. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a great weekend.
Had a blast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm assuming some guys were watching this. Talk to you guys later. It was great doing this.